And I'm here on the TT stand with TT winner Dave Molyneux. Dave, I think by your own very high standards, it's fair to say this year's TT was a bit of a disappointment.
To say the least, absolute disaster, yeah. But I've got over that and regrouped. Haven't ridden since July. We quit after the Southern 100 and decided to make plans for this next year. And I'm ready to race now. You know, we've got a new bike built and R6 Yamaha engines.
I was going to say, looking at your T-shirt, you're obviously Yamaha powered.
Yeah.
Is that a big decision for you before you start the season? Is it something that you start, well, what are we going to do engine-wise before we do anything else?
Well, first and foremost, you know, that when you have a prospective sponsor come up and offer you an engine package, it's a pretty rare thing in the sidecar field, and so whatever brand of engine it is, it's very tempting, and this is what's happened basically in the past. This decision is solely based on my own judgment. I feel the R6 Yamaha is the engine to use for the sidecar. I've spent many hours designing and building around that engine. It's not the easiest engine to build around for a sidecar, but we've got there, and I firmly believe it'll be the ultimate package.
I mean, to be fair, it's the problems you've had have been those things that you just never think of. It's something like the wheel bearing. Well, how often is that going to happen? It's just one of them things that it's not something you've done. It's just
what it was there. Yeah, that wheel bearing thing was something that I think the sidecar has evolved into something that we stuck with that technology of the back wheel, that particular design, for maybe 10 years, and the added forces of the wider wheel and the more power in the engine, kind of the bearing cried enough, so I had to redesign it, which is good now, and every TT is like a new test. And this year's TT, we had an electrical fault we couldn't get over in the first race. Before the start of the first race, we didn't get to start. The second race was a conrod bolt that snapped on the last lap, but it was an aftermarket conrod, not a genuine part, and supposedly superior, just didn't work. Well, there you go.
Can I just ask you, I mean, you've been racing for many years along the TT, and it's evolved and changed an awful lot. Do you think the circuit now is better than it was, or do you think it's a bit sort of swings and roundabouts? What you've gained on one part because it's quicker, you've lost because obviously the speeds are greater now?
Definitely. I mean, when I first did my first TT in 1985, Quarry Bends was still the old Quarry Bends. It was third gear section, whereas now it's sixth gear on a sidecar, and there's several other corners like that. But it brings its other problems that, you know, the bikes are faster, but the bumps are harder. You know, I'm sure the circuit is in just as good a shape as it's ever been, but it's still a public road circuit with many bumps and pitfalls in it.
I mean, I've ridden a road bike along the Glenduff section at road speeds. I have to say road speeds, and that's one hell of a bumpy section. I can't imagine what that must be like on a sidecar.
Well, it certainly takes it out of you, and it's the one section of the course that you strap yourself in sort of thing and get ready for the ride. I wouldn't go as far to say I dread it, but it's probably the worst aspect of the circuit. You're certainly ready for a breather when you get to Ramsey and head off up the mountain mile.
Do you have a particular place on the circuit that is your favourite?
No, the whole circuit's my favourite. I've got no likes or dislikes. It's a privilege and a pleasure to ride, but I'd say it just will overwhelm the most seasoned campaigner. It's a great place to ride, and the whole thing's my favourite.
And I'm assuming now that you were saying you're ready to race, is this part of the year where you're just trying to do the fine tuning, the little bits and bobs?
Yeah. This is a development bike I've built, and I will use it for that purpose. Whatever needs chopping and changing will get quickly done. By the time I reach May, I'll have built a brand new version of this bike, and it'll be with all the fine details attached to it. And
well, we look forward to seeing you back on the podium. The best of luck for 2017.
That's the plan, and I look forward to it very much. Cheers.